Hey, how are y'all? Welcome to Scared of Beautiful. My name is Plez. We are here for a quick review on Married at First Sight, this last week's episode. I had to get into it, y'all, and took my glasses off because I was reviewing my notes. And the weather here is crazy, so hopefully the stream won't start buffering or acting crazy. You never know what you're going to get in Southeast Louisiana, but hopefully we'll make it through. I hope you all have a wonderful week so far. It is hump day. We are almost through the work week. I apologize for not being as consistent as I should be, but it is really hard. I'm learning, trying to navigate and really manage working full time, getting my YouTube channel off the ground. But I thank you all for being patient and always being supportive. Let me see who's in the house. Hey, Quasia, thank you for being here. How are you? Janet Holiday, how are you, sis? Sint Hudson, hello. Gail France, how are you? Felicia, pretty lip color. Thank you, Felicia. And AJG317, hey, Plez. Hey, how are you? Welcome, my beauties and beaus. Hey, Sophia. Hey, Dimples for Days. All right, I'm going to jump right into it. Anyone who's new here, thank you for finding the channel. I hope you subscribe to the channel. Please like and comment. Give me you all's feedback and interaction. We got two simple rules. One, we will always be respectful to each other, so no disrespectful or derogatory comments are allowed. And two, no face, no place on my platform. That just means if we have time and we do some call-ins, you have to show your face just like I do. So, last episode 14, Married at First Sight. It was called Country Chaos. There was lots of chaos, and they were in the country at a ranch for the couples retreat. We are 2 weeks, y'all, 2 weeks before decision day, and I think I already know what the decisions will be or what they should be. Hey, Lola, Monique. Hey, Mina Ruth, how are you today? FAH finally caught alive. Thank you for joining me. Andrea Harvey, hello. And hello to you, Felicia. All right, y'all. So, my format is I generally just go through the couples. This episode, we didn't have a lot going on with most of the couples. There was really only one couple that was super explosive, so we're going to save them for last. Let's start with our sweethearts. Probably the most well-adjusted couple so far, and that is Myrla and Gil. Myrla and Gil, they are getting along. And who knew? Who knew at the beginning of the season that they would be the most well-adjusted couple? Myrla went from hating dogs to, as we open up the episode, she's in the car getting ready to go on the trip and she's taking selfies with Hype, Gil's dog. So she's done a complete 180 as far as the dogs are concerned. Myrla almost falls going into the ranch. That was super funny because, as we know, she's image conscious. She wanted the producers to cut that. And of course, they're petty, so they did not do that. But she gets back to some of her usual ways. She immediately does not like the accommodations. She doesn't like that the couples are going to be staying together in this one big ranch together. She would have preferred if they had had independent cabins. And look, I have standards. I can be somewhat picky as well. I just think with Myrla, especially the way they have edited her, it's nonstop. So it's like, girl, you're on a show. You don't get to set the budget. Just learn to go with the flow sometimes. When you hold the reins and you make the accommodations, you can make it be what you want it to be. But until then, just put a smile on your face. And even if you have some complaints, just keep them to yourself. It works. I'm telling you, it works. As someone who has a critical mind, I am hypersensitive to how constantly complaining makes you look and comes out to other people. So that's just like something to help her, because eventually it will make people not want to be around her. The basis of their disagreement is that Gil is an extrovert, Myrla is an introvert. So Gil loves this. He loves being close to people. He loves being able to run out and play ping pong and not have to, go all the way over to find somebody else. So he likes the closeness of the accommodations. He says that Myrla would only be happy with the Ritz-Carlton. He says it in jest, but he's halfway true. Next we see them, they jokes about getting a divorce. And because they are actually in a good place, they're the only couple who can joke like that at this time. It was cute to hear the story about her and her sleeping habits and patterns, how she's sleeping all over the bed. Then the next scene we see them in, they go horseback riding. So Gil knows that Myrla grew up her horseback riding. He decided to pick this activity as something that he thought that she would really like. And unfortunately, the complaints started like as soon as they showed up to the ranch to meet with the lady and get on the horses. First, we see her saying that her horse her horse farted. Then she said, "Oh, I like a more natural trail." Then she wants her horse to go faster. She wishes that they could pick up the speed. And then she complained that Gil's horse galloped and hers didn't. It was just weird. And again, the way they edit her and chop her up really doesn't help. It was like literally everything out of her mouth was a complaint or something that she felt should have been better. So once they are finally finished with the horseback riding activity, she and Gil sit down to talk about it. And she's like, "Oh, it was fun, but I wish it was longer. And I wish, the trail was longer and that we had actually stayed on the ride longer." And so Gil just asked her, like, "Are you ever just happy or content?" And she gets really quiet. Ultimately, she says that she receives his criticism and that she will try to change some things, but it's not going to happen overnight. At this point, they are getting closer to decision day. And in the last episode, we saw them talk about what is bothering them with their spouse. And he told Pastor Cal that this was an issue for him, her constant negativity and complaining. So I'm glad that he kind of held her feet to the fire. Some of the groups that I'm in, I follow, this is one show that I really do follow, y'all. So I'm in like fan groups and stuff on Facebook. And so some people really felt like he was criticizing her in this moment. And I honestly didn't take it as criticism. I felt that it was like a loving check of accountability, because sometimes we don't hear ourselves. We don't hear how we come across. And just to say, are you ever just content and satisfied? Is anything ever enough? And to people who are ambitious and goal oriented, sometimes that seems like you're being complacent. There's a big difference between being content and being complacent. You have to come to a place in your life, in your heart, where, yeah, you're content with where you are. Yeah, you may want more. The trip could have been better, or whatever whatever your goal is. Let's say you were trying to lose weight. You wanted to lose 10, but you lost 8. You can't beat yourself up about the 2. You have to celebrate the 8. And it's a mind switch, right? And I honestly think if Myrla takes the time and actually takes that constructive criticism on, she will be happier in her own life. Because if you are just a naturally, and I think it seems like she's a naturally kind of pessimistic person, it is draining on the energy of you and everybody else around you. So I hope that she can really take that in, not take it to heart. And it seems like she does. Like she says she receives it, they leave it at that. Next, we really didn't hear a lot from Rachel and Jose, which was a good thing. But they had a few scenes here and there. The biggest thing was that Rachel was excited to come on the trip. She's excited. She wants to actually spend time with her husband. And that's different from a lot of these other ladies on the trip. Rachel was actually happy to have the time away from work, from life, and really reconnect with her husband. When they were playing cornhole with the other couples, Jose really liked how competitive Rachel was. So again, this is giving them a chance to see each other, see their spouses in a different light, in a different context. He never had really seen that competitive side of her. And so he found one other thing that he really likes about her. Next, the ladies are talking about the issues in their marriages. Rachel gave some really good advice about her past and how she used to put on rose-colored glasses in her prior relationships. Then she realized she would be the only one fighting for the relationship, the only one giving any type of effort. And for me, it was a good nod to self-awareness and like the work that we really should be doing once we exit relationships, of looking back on the relationship after you get past the angst of it not working and maybe some bitterness, but really looking to see, what did this relationship teach me? And she learned how, what I like to say is, you can't date potential. It's especially as you get to a certain age and stage in your life, potential is nice, but you have to learn how to deal with the reality of the relationship. And is the other person giving the same amount of love, attention, affection, time, whatever it is that you need or require, or is it just you? Are you the only one doing all of the work? And if you are, you need to make some adjustments. So Rachel says that she really learned how not to do that from her past relationships, how not to be the only one that's trying. And if she is the only one trying, she needs to get out. The last big scene that we saw them in was at the end of the episode, where they're at this goat farm and they are reflecting on their relationship, the conflict that they had earlier in the season where Jose locked her out, in light of what they saw between Michaela and Zach at the couples retreat. And Rachel finally says that, I'm really happy with our progress. I'm happy that we have learned how to communicate with each other and de-escalate. And so hopefully they will continue. They had a really big blowout that could have gone lots of different ways, and they were able to come back to each other, reconcile, and work on their differences. So I really like the progress that Rachel and Jose are going through right now in their relationship. Next, let's talk about Bao and Johnny. Oh, this was interesting with them. This was really interesting from the beginning. We see a more vocal Bao. Bao is not playing any games, honey, y'all. Bao was here for it this episode. She is over Johnny. She is standing up for herself. And I'm happy to see it. Johnny had been throwing a lot of punches, and Bao has finally had enough. So Bao says that she is looking forward to reconnecting with the other couples on this trip, not Johnny. And Johnny is very nervous about the sleeping arrangements, that he and Bao have regressed in their relationship. They no longer sleep together at home. And so he is stressed about where he's going to sleep in this house. If they have to sleep in the same bed, can he put pillows in between them? All of this nervous energy with Johnny. I just want Johnny to get the therapy he needs, because his anxiety is on 12,000, And anxiety isn't a bad thing, but it can really hold you back in life. And we are seeing that every week play out with Johnny. How he gets inside of his own head and makes problems that really aren't problems. He just makes them through being overly analytical and kind of neurotic. That's just what it is. Bao gets up the next that day to start cooking for the couples. And the men help her out with grilling, but Bao is over there showing off those gourmet cooking skills that Johnny, said that she didn't have. And Johnny is talking to the guys and tells the group that he and Bao are struggling. Ironically, Michaela and Zach are there and they start giving advice. Y'all, this is textbook example of why you have to be careful who you take advice from. I like Michaela and Zach as people. They are not in a place to be giving advice to the other couples, particularly since they don't follow their own advice. So Michaela and both Zach tell Johnny that they have to be brutally honest with each other. They have to just, regardless of feelings, let each other know how they feel, where they are, and they can start to move forward and progress in their relationship. The reality is no one on this show is being brutally honest with the other person. Everybody, especially in the most problematic relationships, Michaela and Zach and Brett and Ryan, they're all tiptoeing around each other in the issues. Now, Johnny is actually very brutally honest to the point where he's just mean and nasty for no reason. You can be honest and blunt with a person and still be tactful and still care about their feelings or have some type of compassion. You don't have to be ugly and hit below the belt. And in my opinion, that's exactly what Johnny does. The next scene we see, Bao says, she's just here. She's trying to do this level 1 thing with Johnny. She's not feeling it. She's a more involved person. She's deeper. She wants to be intimate with her partner and vulnerable. She wants to get beyond this surface level interaction, but she now realizes that Johnny isn't capable of that. Johnny, on the other hand, says he wants to spend as little time as possible with Bao. He doesn't want to argue in front of the other couples. And that's another thing that's present with most of these couples. They are super image conscious. And it's very interesting to me that people would sign up for reality TV and not be prepared to actually show up, do the work, do the process. It's like they all are trying to manipulate how they are actually viewed on screen, which leads to a lot of miscommunication and actually just flat out lying, because people are saying one thing behind the scenes and saying something different when the camera comes. And it just is a breeding ground for problems because no one is being honest with their true selves. Johnny says that he realizes now he is much more sensitive and temperamental than he ever thought he was. Yes, you are, Johnny. You are. Very. Bao is finally over Johnny. She realizes that Johnny's actions and words trigger her because of the verbal abuse she saw firsthand growing up between her mother and father. She realized that she has been allowing Johnny to verbally abuse her and devalue her, and she will never allow that again. She said she's actually very disappointed in herself because as a kid, watching her parents, she always said she would never let a man talk to her in a derogatory or disrespectful way. And in this process, she has allowed Johnny to do that, and she's done allowing him to do that. When they go skeet shooting, Johnny tells Brett that communication and fighting are the roots of his issues with Bao. They don't communicate to each other clearly. Their perspectives are completely different from one another, and that leads to fighting between them. Lastly, we see Johnny and Bao at the farm after the blow up that happened between Michaela and Zach, saying that they both agree to just move forward and take it easy. It seems like this kind of surface level interaction, very basic level, is working for them. I don't know if it worked, that much, because they really kind of avoided each other and they admitted to avoiding each other the whole retreat. But at least they're not fighting anymore. So, it is what it is. Crystal Howard's girl says most are there for a bag. They are. And it's really sad because I've watched this show, y'all, since season 1. And I just feel like the couples used to actually try and have more depth. Now it just seems like people want to get on TV or something. No one is really there for the purpose of the show. Let's go on over to Brett and Ryan. Before we get to the Thriller in Manila, Brett and Ryan, they had a more, they were actually probably more involved this episode than they've been almost all season. Brett, on the way in the car to the retreat, tells Ryan about her conversation with his sister, where his sister says, based on the timeline of everything, them getting along at the wedding, having a pretty good interaction for the honeymoon, and stuff going left once they got back to Houston, his sister believes that Ryan may be distracted by someone from his past. Ryan gives that big deer in headlights, look that he often gives when he doesn't want to answer questions directly, which he never really does. So he never answers Brett. He never says, no, there's no one else. I'm not distracted. There's no one from the past. Like, he doesn't actually address the allegations or the thoughts that his sister had. Instead, he becomes very defensive and says, well, why would she even come up with that? Where did that come from? Where did that come from in the conversation? Yeah, that's not an answer, sir. That's a deflection. Which means that the sister is probably right or telling the truth. He says that Brett should just know he is very much an action-oriented person. And because he and Brett have not been intimate, because he has moved out of the bedroom, just all of his actions so far should let her know that he's not interested. He's not feeling it. Brett calls him out and says that other people are telling him that, he's saying that they're probably just going to be friends and things like that. And she's like, well, you've never said that to me. And Ryan says, I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to explicitly say whatever's going on when my actions say it. And for Brett, I'm going to say he's absolutely right. And one thing I have learned throughout my life, something that my mother taught me. So if your mother ain't never teach you, I'm going to pass it on. This is like elder black lady wisdom. Never let a man tell you he don't want you twice, right? So although Ryan has not flat out said, he has flat out said that he's not having any romantic feelings towards Brett. He has not flat out said, I don't want you. I don't think this is going to work. But his actions do say that. And the one, like, I will honestly give Ryan credit versus some of these other men, i.e., Zach and Johnny. I will give Ryan credit because at least he's not sleeping with Brett. They haven't been intimate. They don't seem to have any type of intimacy, kissing, touching, anything like that. So, in that sense, he's not leading her on that way. But he still leaves little breadcrumbs of hope. To be fair, though, Brett also doesn't use her words. She does a better job later on of finally using her words with Ryan. But like the last episode or the episode before that, where Pastor Cal gave her clear questions to ask Ryan and she refused to ask them. So it's almost like she's also playing a game because she wants him to be clear, but I don't think she can really handle him being clear. She has to prepare herself. You never ask questions that you don't want the answer to, or you're not prepared to hear the answer to. But yeah, I think she needs to go on, put on her big girl panties, and move on. His actions have been very clear. Next, we see them. The group gives Brett a gift of cookies and some sparklers for the loss of Baxter. In that whole scene, Ryan looked so disinterested. Everyone else, Michaela, Zach, they were sitting up in their chairs. They were engaged in what she had to say about Baxter. Ryan could have been over there twirling his hair as far as he was concerned. He visibly looked checked out. But to the confessional, he claims that he was very fond of Baxter and that he wishes he could be of more comfort to Brett. You can. You can. You have access to her. You all live in the same apartment. You could hug her. And that's not in like a sexual way. You can comfort someone without being romantically involved with them. So for me, it just seems like Ryan is very closed off and selfish, period. But to say, oh, I wish I could do more, you could if you wanted to, but you don't. It's what it is. Ryan then suggests, as they're talking about the different sleeping arrangements with Johnny and Bao, Ryan suggests that he and Brett can sleep in the same room. Brett is confused, like, we can't. No, we can't. What are you talking about? We don't sleep together at home. So why would we come up here and sleep together? Well, Brett, it's because Ryan likes to keep up appearances. That's it. That's all. He wants to pretend that everything is hunky-dory. Brett and Bao then decide to sleep in separate rooms in that because there are 6 rooms at the retreat, and the guys then could sleep in a room together. And I was actually shocked that Ryan and Johnny decided to play rock, paper, scissors to decide who gets the room, because they're BFFs any other time. So I don't see why they wouldn't sleep together in the same bed. I mean, somebody at the head of the bed, somebody else at the foot of the bed. But no, they decide to do rock, paper, scissors. Ryan loses and has to sleep on the couch. Ryan then, when they get together the next time to discuss the issue of why he thought it would be okay for them to sleep together, Ryan is very frustrated because he says he told Dr. Pepper he would try harder. But it doesn't seem like to him that Brett wants to try. He feels he could have been more vocal about sleeping together with her, but he doesn't feel it had to be a big deal. She should have just been okay with saying, once he said, oh, I'm fine with us sleeping together, she should have been like, okay. No, that's not realistic, sir. Next, we see them talking about this same issue with the guys, and Zach does a really good job of challenging Ryan. So I do like this group of guys, I think a little better than like last season's group of guys, because ironically, they can see other people's issues, they just can't see their own. So Zach made a really good point to say, why would she think that you all would sleep together if that's not your normal routine? So he did a really good job of challenging Ryan on that, and Ryan had no answer. Like I was saying when I was talking about Johnny and Bao, Brett and Ryan and Johnny and Bao go skeet shooting together. For me, again, this was another production driven activity. There are so many ways that you can get couples to interact and could possibly change the course of a couple's relationship just by introducing new energy to them. So I really don't understand why they insist. Well, I do understand because, again, it's production, drama, and ratings. But if the premise of the show is supposedly to keep couples together and to build actual good couples, you wouldn't keep putting these two couples together. They both are at -0 in their relationships. And they're both very pessimistic. Just when John, like a few episode or two ago, when Johnny himself went to shoot pool with Ryan, and he's like, I probably shouldn't have done that. So yeah, quit matching these two up. Like, it's silly at this point. But they put them together. Their energy, of course, plays off of each other, and they drain each other. So, as usual, Brett and Johnny were the sticks in the mud. They sat back on the golf cart or whatever kind of vehicle, ATV that brought them out there, and watched as Ryan and Bao actually did the activity of skeet shooting. Ryan had done it before. He's a country boy. He grew up doing this kind of thing. And Bao was her regular adventurous self and actually wanted to try. Brett said that she is very averse to sudden loud sounds. And Johnny's just a scaredy cat. That's no other way to put it. Like, no other way to put it. And so we watch two people actually try to have fun, and then we have to watch two other people sit there and complain about the other two people having fun. Like, this isn't good TV. I don't know why they thought this was good TV. Put Bao and Johnny with Rachel and Jose. That would help bring up the energy. Rachel would get in there and, push Johnny to try something. Like, I just that whole scene just brought me down. Brett, they start talking about the marriages. Brett tells Johnny that she and Ryan need to work better at their communication. They don't have the issue that Bao and Johnny do, which is, pessimistic communication and constant arguing and fighting with each other. They just don't communicate at all. And they are not direct with each other. Brett does say that she thinks she is direct and that Ryan struggles. Brett, you're not direct. You're not. You jump around the issue as well. You're better at communication than Ryan is, but neither one of you all will get an award for that. Next, we see them having a conversation. Brett tells Ryan that his words and actions don't line up. Like, she calls him to the carpet, calls him out on the sleep arrangement issue for this trip. Ryan says he was trying to be an adult about the situation and not make a scene. This is what I mean when I talk about him being fake and image conscious. And he's high-key passive-aggressive. What about lying about the state of your marriage and faking sleeping arrangements is being an adult. And there was no scene made because you, Brett, Bao, and Johnny calmly decided that the ladies would get their own room and you and Johnny would have a room, and then you all decided to do rock, paper, scissors. There was no scene. You just worry about how the other couples will perceive that and how people will perceive it on TV, I guess. But I don't even know if it's about TV as much as it is the other couples, because the people on TV already see that you all don't sleep together in the same house, in the same room when you're at home. So I really think it's just like putting on a front for the other couples. And Brett tells him, like, dude, you go negative so fast. Any direct communication, any type of honesty is negativity to you. And this is why I can't call you out. He's been saying this whole time, call me out on my stuff. If I'm doing something wrong, call me out. Let me know. I need to hear that. And then when he hears it, he doesn't hear it. He gets upset. And she's right. Brett talks about how she has done this repeatedly in her life. She gives and gives and gives to what the other person wants. She acquiesces what he wants and then ignores her own needs till she breaks. And that's where she is right now. She's broken. She's over it. Ryan says that he wants to stay open-minded and try to make their marriage work. Then they finish this heavy conversation by saying they're both going to take a shot. I just, okay. This 504 girl says she might be scared of the answers. She is. Denise says the other show Brett more emotion than Ryan. Hey, POP, positive on purpose. How are you, Candace? Good to see you today. Yeah, so after they go have their shots, they come to an agreement in the next scene on the farm that they are just going to take their time and get to know each other. Well, y'all only have 2 weeks left, so I don't know how much you're going to get to know each other, but good luck with it. Now, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this thing, y'all. Let's get to Michaela and Zach. It was a lot. It was a lot, y'all. It was a lot. Let's just dive into it. So, first we see them getting ready to go on the retreat. Zach says that he and Michaela have made up from their last argument. He just wants her to acknowledge that she moved out to hurt him. Let me lay the foundation for this first, y'all. I might say some things that you all don't like, and that's fine. That's why we are here for discourse. Please leave your comments. We can agree to disagree. I'm going to tell you now, I'm actually not team anyone. I am team middle ground and common sense. I have seen a lot over this last week on social media and other places regarding Michaela, her mental state, her actions. So before I get into this, let me be real clear. I don't condone Michaela's actions. Got it? Got it? You heard me? Michaela acting like the Tasmanian devil was not right. Was not cute. But what we not going to do is act like Zach is an angel or a saint. And I'm going to show you exactly why he is not an angel or a saint. They actually, I've said it before and I'll say it again, they actually are two sides of the same dysfunctional coin. They are both immature. They are both selfish. Neither one of them was ready for marriage. Him nor her. And his reactions are not the same as hers because he doesn't have her temper. So anyone who doesn't have her temper, which I think most people don't have her, I don't have her temper, but I can see the things that Zach does to set off that temper within her. So no, it's not necessarily his fault that she reacts the way that she does, but it's not that he's not doing anything. He is. And I actually suspect he does a lot more that we just don't see on camera. And you can see it from their conversations, but we'll get to that. All right. So now that I've said that, don't y'all be sitting here saying, oh, well, no, but you can't act ghetto and she can't do that. I don't care what you say. No. We have to stop acting like there aren't actions and reactions. Never saying that it's right, but how about if the action didn't take place in the first place? Maybe there wouldn't be a reaction. We have to also teach our sons, our daughters, not to play with people and lead them on. But we'll get there. We'll get there, right? Okay. So he says, we've made up. I just want her to acknowledge that she moved out to hurt me. Stop here. Talking about selfishness. Did Michaela move out to hurt him? Or did Michaela move out to protect herself? By his logic, you could argue that he left the apartment to hurt her. Just because someone says, I don't want to sleep in the same bed as you, and again, to me, this is actually a show and a production issue. They should, if the apartment has 2 bedrooms, they should not be allowed to go back to their homes. The girl said, I don't want to sleep in the same bed as you, not get up and go home. But since he got up to go home, well, yeah, she has negative self-control. She has trouble regulating her emotions. So if you take 1 step, she gonna take 10. So you say you're going home, fine, I'm moving out and I'm taking all the seasonings. It's not right, but neither person was right. And the fact that he centered that around himself, she moved out to hurt me. No, everything ain't about you. I don't think she did that to hurt him. I honestly think in everything that she's done, it's to protect herself. And if people don't understand, this is why for me, therapy and psychology and things like that are so important. I'm actually going to give y'all some definitions and some symptoms because I saw so much information about abandonment issues. Like I wanted to pull my hair out. So hopefully some people will see this video and will understand more about abandonment issues, maybe realize that they themselves are struggling with abandonment issues, maybe reach out for help, or, maybe it'll help them understand the actions of some of their family members or friends. Because it's a real thing. And if you love someone, just try to encourage them to get the therapy and the help that they need, the tools to deal with this type of trauma. So I don't think Michaela left to hurt him. I do think she, at this point, feels like she's being constantly rejected. And so now she is in survival mode. She is fighting to protect herself from being hurt even further. Zach, once they get in the car and they stop by this goat farm on the way to the retreat to talk, Zach says he admits that it takes him longer to get over things. Michaela has now talked to both his siblings and her siblings about their last fight, and she says she's in a better place. She has spent time with herself, getting clarity on her triggers, and that she has figured out that her and Zach really need to learn to talk to each other and communicate more. So again, although Michaela's responses and reactions are completely wrong, they're completely out of range, she is saying, I've had time to think. I've thought about my triggers. I see where I went wrong. I don't see Zach doing any of this self-reflection. I don't see him trying to figure out what could I have done differently in this situation. Now, when he talks to the guys, he does say, well, I guess I could have, stayed, even though she told me to leave, or asked if I should stay. But it's beyond, once they get to that point, it's done. It's everything before that. And when someone constantly looks at the other person and says, it's you, it's you, it's you, and they can't see, and this is why I say that. Zach himself has said every woman in his past relationships has responded to him in this way. That should tell you something, young man. If everybody responds to you in this way, it's something that you're doing, and it's called gaslighting, and it's called being selfish, and it's called being inconsistent. There's reasons why people pop off on you like this. Like, they shouldn't. You shouldn't pop off on people. You should be able to calmly say, you've broken 4 dates with me, I'm done. But the reality is, everybody isn't adjusted at that level where they can do it, especially in his age range. It's just, a lot of this has to deal with time and maturity and learning how to regulate your own emotions and behavior. But that means Zach has to do it as well. So anyway, they go to this goat farm. It was just so random, but they go to the goat farm. They agreed that they like to laugh and have fun together. He tells her she looks like the goat queen, tries to take a picture of her. I think that hurt her feelings a little bit, but she tried to move on past that. Then we get to this scene, and I cut this out to show y'all. Hopefully it'll play right. But we get to this scene where he tells her, he didn't ask her, he tells her that they are going to sleep in the same bed tonight. And she's like, yeah, we can sleep in the same bed. And Zach looks like a little kid. Let's watch.
So we are sleeping in the same bed tonight?
Yeah, we sleep in the same bed tonight.
I'm looking forward to that.
Why?
Because it's going to be fun, like it always is.
Okay.
Let's watch it again.
So we are sleeping in the same bed tonight?
Yeah, we sleep in the same bed tonight.
I'm looking forward to that.
Why?
Because it's going to be fun, like it always is.
Okay.
So, he says, so we're sleeping in the same bed tonight. And she's like, yeah, so we can sleep in the same bed tonight. And he's like, why? No, he says he's looking forward to it. She says, why? He says, oh, because it's fun. It always is. Now, a lot of guys will talk about how passionate, how crazy, how irrational certain women are. But word on the curb, you ain't heard it from me, and I don't sleep with women, so I don't know. But I've heard that quote unquote crazy people have some of the best sex ever. And in this one scene, Zach almost elevated himself to F-boy level for me. Because it's very clear that he just wants to sleep with her. He enjoys whatever fun they always have in the bedroom, which is why when she says, we don't need to sleep in the same bed, he gets mad and wants to take it a step further. Well, if we're not sleeping in the same bed, I can go home. That leads to her feeling used. Nobody wants to feel like that. No one wants to feel like the only reason he likes me or the only thing he likes about me is whatever we do in the bedroom. So Zach has to stop playing those games. If you don't like her, if she is so explosive, if she makes you a different person, if her pettiness is too much, stop. You can't keep stringing her on or giving her hope with sex. And in my opinion, Michaela was trying to draw that line in the sand and protect herself and say, okay, if we already know this isn't going to work out, if we're not going to wait till decision day, we don't need to sleep in the same bed. Because she doesn't want even the thought or the temptation to be there. She doesn't want the chance of it happening. She's trying to cut it off. And he doesn't want her to cut it off. And so he doesn't want her to cut it off. He knows what her trigger is, which is abandonment. So he says, okay, well, I'm just going to leave. If I can't get what I want, I'm going to leave. Now, where Michaela is wrong at is that she should let him go. She's not, mature enough to do that. She hasn't done enough work, but she should let him go. Let him go. You already know it's not working. Just like with Brett and Ryan, you don't have to wait until the final day. He doesn't have to explicitly say it. In almost every interaction with you all, y'all have done this back and forth 3, 4 times, 4 or 5 times now. It's not going to work. I know you had high hopes. I don't know why you think you love him. You've never told anybody you love them before. He hasn't either. So I don't know why either one of y'all think y'all in love. This is like some pheromone stuff on 1,000. Ain't neither one of y'all in love. Probably infatuation with a little bit of lust. Let him go. Just let him go to his own apartment. And that's it. But because of the abandonment issues and things like that, she pushes him away. She tries to hold on. But this is the type of stuff that lays the foundation. Oh, I can't wait for us to sleep back in the bed together. Like, the boy was almost about to break out into a dance. And she's just over there like, it's what it is. Right? So, Michaela and Zach then briefly talk about their recent argument in front of the group. They both claim that they're in a much better space. Michaela tells the group that this is the most effort she has ever put forth in a relationship. And through not caring, they have found love. I didn't understand that at all. Zach then tells the guys about Michaela leaving the apartment altogether and says, all she had to do was tell me not to leave. They're both immature. They are both playing silly games with each other. Neither one is just saying what they mean and meaning what they say. Bao then pipes in and says that she's jealous of their relationship. Why? Don't. This is a perfect example of don't think the grass is always greener on the other side. Michaela compares their relationship to King Kong and Godzilla. She says she knows that they are in a power struggle and someone has to stop and cease fire. But both of them are having this ego struggle and power struggle where neither one wants to put down their weapons and just stop. Bao says that this indicates that they have trust and commitment. And I'm just like, no, it doesn't. No, Bao. I think because her and Johnny have no passion, she looks at them and is like, oh, but there's something there. There's nothing there. That's lust. That's at best. That's not a genuine connection. Next, we see them outside talking, and this is what leads to the final blow up. But we get this mini blow up where Michaela and Zach are talking about, again, his view of marriage. He says his view of marriage is a situation where he is happy most of the time. Please tell me whose definition of marriage that is. But he wants to say he was ready and he's not naive. What? None of this makes sense. I wonder, does he even hear himself? He then says that he's been consistent this whole time. Yes, you have been consistent with leaving. And Michaela has fluctuated with her feelings all over the place. Michaela fires back and says, "No, I have tried. I've been the one trying." And then Zach takes offense and immediately gets defensive, says that if she can't see how he has tried, then there's no point in them even trying to talk anymore. So again, it's what she talked about with the King Kong and Godzilla. It's a power struggle. It's a constant peeing match of both of them. Well, I did this and you did that. Well, I did it better. Both of y'all can do better. Michaela and Zach then both claimed that they talked last night off camera and both agreed to divorce, take a break from each other, then come back and see if it will work. No, none of that makes sense. Why? Why? That is nothing about that makes sense. Michaela says they both underestimated the work required in marriage. You did. And both need more inner work. You do. Zach objects. He says, no. Let me be clear. I was ready for marriage. And I know that marriage is work, but marriage with you is more work than I thought it would be. He doesn't want it to come across that he's this naive guy that thought marriage would be rainbows and butterflies. But you are. You are that guy. You are naive. You did think it was going to be butterflies and rainbows. You literally just said your view of marriage is a situation in which you are happy most of the time. That was just this episode. All of your other previous explanations of marriage have been very flowery. Oh, I get home from work and my wife is cooking and we're listening to music and playing with the kids. That's not real life, sir. I mean, some nights, but that's not, no. Nothing about this is a realistic view of marriage. Like, and it's nothing wrong with saying that. But again, these people are so image conscious. And for him, it's part of his perfectionism where he doesn't want to appear to have any defects. I'm ready. I've been ready since I was 17. No 17-year-old is ready for marriage. None. You might think you are. I thought I was. I wanted to be married at like 24. At 38, I look at that and I'm like, I don't even know if I'm ready at 38 to be somebody's wife. No, I wasn't ready. Was definitely not ready at 24. But yes, young Plez had her whole life planned out and was going to be married by 24. Wasn't ready. Not ready now. Don't know when I'll be ready. But you're not ready at 17, son. I don't care how much you want to believe you weren't ready. And you ain't ready now at 27. Michaela says, well, if marriage with me is so hard, why continue any kind of relationship with me? Yes. Good job, Michaela. Good job. Good question. Zach says, well, because we wouldn't be married anymore. So the circumstances would change. And yes, by definition, not being married versus being married means your circumstances did change, but that changes nothing about who she is as a person, and she rightfully said that. It made no sense. Now, with that being said, Michaela had a horribly immature response and reaction to his nonsense. Like, it didn't take all of that. I thought a bee or something was flying in that girl's face. I didn't know what was happening. So it was a lot. It was a lot. It's a lot for anybody. So now she has this reaction. She jumps up, runs down the patio, screaming and yelling. Zach is mad. He's like, this is what I'm talking about. Who can deal with this? Who can talk to her? He says he will be happy after the divorce. And she's like, well, what would that change about me? And fundamentally, it doesn't change anything about her. So then he doubles down. And instead of him just saying, you're right, it wouldn't change anything about you, so we should just divorce. Instead of him just saying that, he says, I was ready for marriage. I was not ready for marriage with Michaela, Iman, whatever her name is, in this process. Like, dude, why are you qualifying this? You're leading her on. More importantly, you're making her feel like it's only about her versus you all not being ready for marriage, period. He says, look, I can't do this. I have no energy. I have nothing left to give. And she's like, fine, get up. Like, dismiss yourself. Go. He leaves. He slams the door behind her. And of course, production is always on it. The mic is still there. And all of these people, they're like, oh, Zach is so golden. He says, damn, I can't stand that witch. But he said the B word because they had to bleep it out. So he is no angel. And if you have that much contempt or disgust for somebody, just stop. Stop. Do both of you all a favor and stop. Next, we see Bao come out. She's checking on Michaela. She said that, so when Bao checks on Michaela, this is where the lines get crossed because we don't know who's telling the truth because these are off-camera alleged conversations. Michaela says that her and Zach talked the night before and that Zach specifically said he's not ready for marriage, period, and that he needs to work on himself. Just when they were talking, Zach says, I'm not ready for marriage with you. That is a big distinction. Furthermore, if we believe Michaela's side, that's a distinction that he purposefully made on camera because he wants to protect his image. Him making that distinction, though, makes Michaela feel rejected, that she's not wanted, and so she protects herself by pushing him away. Who's going to say, yes, let's work on this, let's fight for this, love me, when someone continually tells you you're the problem? Most people are going to say, well, if I'm the problem, leave, go. But that's a really bad thing if one-on-one he's saying, no, I'm just, and I can believe it because Zach doesn't, he said it. He doesn't want to hurt feelings. He doesn't want to make her feel, so he won't hurt her feelings by off camera, but he'll do it on camera. It makes no sense. None. Right? So these little distinctions is like, these are little like rice drops, things that lead up and build up to this blow up that we see from her, because he's saying different things behind camera, and then when it gets on camera, he flips it, and then now she just looks crazy. Bao says that both of their egos are in the way. She's absolutely correct. Michaela shouldn't. I didn't like how she, the rumor is that Bao and Zach are now dating. And I think part of this is also Bao's like, I'm gonna work at this at all costs. But I didn't agree with some of the advice she was giving Michaela. Michaela shouldn't punish him for not being ready. I don't think she's punishing him. I think she just wants a straight answer from him, which Zach is incapable of delivering. But Michaela does admit to her abandonment issues. Bao questions, well, if you have abandonment issues, why are you pushing him away? She can't answer that. She doesn't know how. She doesn't have the capacity. She needs to go into therapy so that she can understand what abandonment is, what it does to you, and how it manifests in your real life. But they're there for each other. They hug and embrace. That was a very sisterly conversation, although I didn't agree necessarily with the context of the conversation. I do like that she was there for her and tried to comfort her. Michaela says that she's going to try to talk to Zach and stop self-sabotaging, which is one thing that she's doing. Next, they have the little group couples thing where they play the superlatives game. First person to have a baby, Rachel, go to rehab, Johnny, leave a party early, Myrla. The biggest drama queen was Johnny. The most petty was a tie between Rachel and Michaela. And this is again where Michaela's 30 now. She has to do some growing up. Like, people like to joke about being petty, but the way Michaela was going on and on and on about it, way too excited to claim that title. On a grown woman level, like we joked the last episode, take, well, I told y'all my personal favorite, take all of the labels off of the canned goods. But Michaela was going way harder in the paint. She was, I'll take your baseboards off. Girl, who's doing that kind of manual labor? That really is like Sybil, old girl from Thin Line Between Love and Hate level of petty. That's almost scary. It is scary. Like, I'm not going through taking somebody's baseboards. Like, that's way too much. But it was another big red flag and a big turn off to Zach, where she thought, I'm being like, nah, girl, that was too much. Most men in their right mind are going to be like, you take pride in that? That's not something you should take pride in, sis. Work on that in therapy. She starts talking about the day when they get in the bed that night. She starts talking to Zach about the day and how everything went. Zach was like, it's unacceptable. I don't like when you act like that. It's unacceptable for me, that type of behavior. I don't want to be viewed like that. Michaela, interestingly, is kind of taken aback by that because she thought they got along better with the couples. So, as she said, she does something, she apologizes, she expects the person to just move forward and get over it. Zach is not like that. He needs time to get over things. And at this point, it's been several blow-ups. So Zach says, you're like two different people. Like, I see two different Michaelas, and I don't even want to talk about it anymore at this point. I just want to move on. So people have to learn like words and triggers. So him saying he wants to move on, she doesn't hear move on as in like move on and not have this conversation tonight. She hears move on as in be done with her, move on. So she takes that a step further and says, oh, if you want to move on, you can go home tonight. She says that she wishes she had taken a separate car so that she wouldn't have to ride back with him at all the next day. He says, let me get this straight. So you are not going to ride back home with me tomorrow. If that's the case, I can leave now. They then get back into the power struggle, ego struggle of she's cutting him off and saying, leave, go, leave. You can leave now, go. I don't need you. I don't need you is a key phrase that lets you know somebody has abandonment issues. She's protecting herself and she's letting him know, don't get into it. I don't need you. You can go. I don't want somebody who don't want to be here. Go. And the argument is, well, she said it first, and it's what she heard versus what he heard. And the reality is they're not hearing each other at all. They both talk in circles. It's exhausting. But all of these are defense mechanisms for her. Not excuses, not right. She needs lots of help to stop this because it's only going to continue in further relationships. I'm just explaining the psychology behind it. These are defense mechanisms. He says, no, I came with you. I don't want to just leave you. He's trying to affirm, I don't want to just leave you. But for her, he's already left mentally and emotionally. And he says other things as if he's going to leave. But in this situation, he didn't want to physically leave her, right? They keep going back and forth. Michaela, like I said, thought that they were having fun with the couple. She doesn't understand why he is done. They're both talking in circles. She's like, you don't have to worry about taking me home. So she calls her sister and shares to her sister that they're having an argument, asks her sister to come pick her up. He says that she said she wanted to ride home with him just 10 minutes earlier, and they do the flashback. She didn't say she wanted to ride home with him. She said she could ride home with him, not that she wanted to. And so again, that's a small nuance. It's a word difference, but the words mean different things. She is hell bent at this point in showing him, I don't need you. So you saying I want to ride with you? No, I don't want to ride with you. I can ride with you, but I don't want to. I don't want somebody who doesn't want me. Get it? Like, it doesn't make people say, well, that's silly. Well, that's it. It's pride. It's all of those things. It's pride, it's ego, it's protection mechanisms. It's all of these things which normal, healthy, mature people understand. Michaela and Zach are none of those things. So, he says he doesn't like who he is with her, and it's because of her. So, again, if you've ever done any type of therapy, any good therapist will tell you that when you have conversations like this, you can't use certain words. You're always supposed to say how you feel. How I. When you start using words like it's your fault and you, it automatically puts the other person on the defense. Automatically. And it almost always ruins any type of fruitful communication that you could have. Because now the person is on the defense and they're not going to hear anything else that you have to say. Michaela now says that they get the sister off of the phone. She calms down a little. You can tell that there was some type of break in the editing. They're back talking in the bed. He's sitting up. Michaela's like, I think you should just go to sleep, wake up in the morning, and go by yourself. We don't have to drive back together tomorrow, but you don't need to leave right now. And he's like, no, I need to go. It's too much. I can't sleep here in this bed with you. He gets up, packs his stuff, wheels the suitcase out. The camera isn't in the room, or if it is, they don't show us the footage, but you can hear them arguing. It sounds like Zach is trying to get beyond the door. Ladies, young ladies, if a man wants to leave, let him leave. Don't try to block the door. Don't try to force his hand. Let him go. However, I'm going to say why I feel partially why she was doing this. He wheels the suitcase out. She follows him. So you going to get on the plane. I really hated to see this because this was some stereotypical mess, and I hate to see this type of stuff on TV, but it is what it is. It happens in real life. She follows him out. Then for a minute, he takes his hand off of the suitcase, so she wheels it back in the room. He goes back in the room, tries to get it. They argue a bit more. Bao is in there peeking outside of the door like, oh my God, what's going on? Most of the other couples are outside. So they see him go out to the car. They try to get him to stay. Zach is basically pleading to leave at this point. Michaela comes out there fussing with him again. Then her and Ryan get into it because she feels like Ryan should make him try to convince him to stay. So Zach is like, no, I'm going. I promise you I will text you all. She goes on a full temper tantrum. Hurricane K shows up, and tears through everything that she can push or shove in the house that's in her path. A lot of this is trauma. It's her abandonment issues. And I think somewhere in that moment, it clicked to her, as they've told us in the past, her dad died in a car accident. So I think she was seriously worried about him getting on the road in the middle of the night and possibly having an accident. And unless, if you don't have that type of trauma, then you won't really understand it. But I think mentally and emotionally, that's where she was. And that's where that panic came from, like that nature in her of, oh my God, just don't leave, don't leave, don't leave. He could have went into a different bedroom. He could have slept on the couch with Ryan. He could have done a lot of things. Even when she said, I'm not going to ride back with you, just leave. Just because someone tells you to leave, you don't have to actually leave. But that, that's where we go. The next time we don't see Michaela again, Bao tells us that Michaela came in her room later that night. She really couldn't sleep. And so her sister came and picked her up the next day early in the morning. And that was it for the episode, y'all. Those are my views on it. Both of them need a lot of help, but Michaela, of course, needs more. Michaela needs some serious therapy and some anger management classes. But I did want to just give, before I get off, because I know the new episode is on. I never watched the new episode, y'all, just for future reference when it airs, because it's 2 hours. I honestly don't think this show needs to be 2 hours. And Lifetime has 4 to 5 minutes of commercials every episode. And I'm just not sitting through every break, there's like 4 to 5 minutes of commercials. So I prefer to record it and watch it later so I can fast forward through all of those commercials. But I did want to talk a bit about abandonment issues, right? So I got some really good slides from one place. It was called choosingtherapy.com. This one is from choosingtherapy.com, and I'll tell you about the other one soon. So, fear of abandonment. Fear of abandonment is a form of anxiety that often develops in response to specific painful or traumatic experiences like childhood abuse, neglect, or the loss of a loved one. Often it stems from early childhood traumas involving a parent or caregiver, since early interactions between a child and their parent or caregiver impact all aspects of a child's development. For me, giving the definition of abandonment, fear of abandonment and abandonment issues was very important, because I saw a lot of people saying that Michaela is just playing, and how does she have abandonment issues when her dad died? Her father died in a tragic accident. Abandonment issues don't have to be, they're not created all the time on purpose. And a lot of times in our community, we tend to negate somebody's experiences or their trauma. For instance, when you talk about childhood neglect, you can tell a parent, oh, I feel like you neglected me. And they will take offense to it because they weren't on drugs, or, they weren't out at the club every night. They may have been working 2 or 3 jobs. But the feelings that arise from an absent parent are the same. It doesn't matter why they're absent. The fact that they're absent is what creates the anxiety and the attachment issues, right? I'll get into attachment issues probably on a different video, because those go deep, the different types of attachment formations that we can have. The other part of this, though, is that Michaela seems to have come from a very nice family, right? Very nice people, but they did her a disservice. They should have had her seeing a counselor or a therapist early on. A lot of times we coddle our children, our nieces, our nephews. We think stuff like this is cute. The whole fact that she has a nickname of Hurricane K means she has been doing this for a very long time. That should not be a cute nickname. Y'all needed to get her help a long time ago. And as much as you can love someone and pray for them and all of those wonderful things, does not mean you have the capacity to help them deal with their emotional and mental, health issues or traumas. And again, these aren't bad things. Anxiety isn't a bad thing, but you can help your loved ones get through it and by sending them to a licensed therapist or psychologist or counselor, someone who can give them tools to help them learn how to self-regulate their own emotions and behavior. She's 30 years old and does not know how to regulate her own behavior or emotions. That's a problem. And everybody is not family. And unfortunately, your family won't always be there. You know, they're going to leave too this world. You know, we don't want them to, but they will. So she can't go through her whole life like this. And I hope, you know, seeing this back on TV has helped her want to try to get a handle on this, right? So signs of abandonment issues. In children, abandonment issues often show up as anxiety, especially when separating from a caregiver. Many exhibit negative attention-seeking behaviors and have outbursts or tantrums. In adults, some will push people away, withdraw, and avoid trusting or opening up to people. Others will become overly needy in relationships and will develop patterns of codependency, relying on the other person to meet all of their emotional needs. Ironically, I think Michaela is a mix of both of these. She jumps right into her relationships, right? Her and Zach are hot and heavy early. That bond, that, you know, sex, that interaction, that soul tie, all of that took hold very quickly because of her underlying, you know, emotional needs. And then once he rejected her, he didn't reject her on purpose because he got COVID and this and this and that, but for her, it was a perceived rejection. And then once he came back to Houston and fell asleep in the other room with the dog allegedly and got up and was gone, that for her was another rejection. So now she feels rejected and she wants to push him away. It's a constant cycle, right? It's textbook, literally. Another slide that I saw that was really good about the signs, this one came from Everwell. And it talks about signs of a fear of abandonment. Number 1, intense feelings of separation, anxiety. I'm going to go counterclockwise. 2, reluctance to fully commit. 3, aiming to please. 4, quickness to move on just to ensure that you don't get too attached. 5, hypersensitivity to criticism. 6, feeling insecure and unworthy of love. 7 is difficulty achieving emotional intimacy. And 8, quickness to attach, even to unavailable partners. So see how there's literally the signs can be polar opposites. Quickness to attach, even to unavailable partners, and then also quickness to move on, just to ensure that you don't get too attached. And without knowing how to regulate those feelings, you will always feel like you're in a constant battle, a constant up and down, a seesaw of your own emotions. And so these are just some signs and symptoms that I really feel like we can clearly see play out with Michaela and Zach on this show. I think we also see it play a lot in Johnny, because he does have abandonment issues from his parents getting divorced, and then clearly his dad didn't even show up to the wedding, so he's still dealing with all of those things. All right, y'all, let's see what you're saying. Dia says, you can see now when he's in an argument with Kayla, he'll stay until she gives him permission to leave, just like the argument on the porch. He waited for her to say he can leave the convo first. Okay, you said because he does not know how to handle confrontation. He walks away from situations. He doesn't. And it was so funny to me because people, you know, like I said, Michaela has all of her issues, and people love to report back and revert back to her family. Her family said she was Hurricane K. I'm like, they did. Did you also hear Zach's family say he wasn't ready for marriage? His own mother and father said that. They said it. He himself said that he has never been in a relationship past 9 months. He does not know what it means to be committed to another person. He doesn't know what it means to compromise and give to another person. Everything that we've seen on this show, Zach is very selfish. If Zach doesn't want to do it, he's not going to do it. It doesn't matter that he told you he was going to do it. He's decided now, movie night. I decided I want to go home and get my Apple TV. And now that I'm here, I'm too sleepy, so I'm not going to come back. People with abandonment issues are not the people you want to break plans with. It's one thing if you have to break the plan because you got to work late or something like that. But when you have the ability to maintain the plan and you break it anyway. And so, no, Zach was not responsible for knowing her past or knowing her triggers, particularly since they were married at first sight. But they had these conversations early on. Pastor Cal told him these things. And even once he knew about her past and about her issues with attachment and abandonment issues, he kept doing it. It's like he's constantly doing things. I'm dropping the link right quick in case anybody wants to come up before I end this. But while I'm still running my mouth, he was given the codes, right? Pastor Cal gave him the cheat sheet, gave him the key to the city. And it's almost like he said, he has a hard time getting over things. He has never healed or gotten over the first blow up. So now he's constantly testing her to see if she's going to blow up again. And unfortunately, she doesn't have the capacity. Also, I feel like your partner shouldn't be testing you, but she's not at a place where she can negate these things. That's why every time she has a conversation, she's like, I had an epiphany. You can't have an epiphany overnight. I think both his siblings and her siblings gave her a lot to think about. I think the conversation with Bao gave her a lot to think about because Bao did bring up the self-sabotaging aspect of it. But it's not just going to change overnight. And honestly, she needs more professional help to get all of that under control. That's not the type of work, self-work that you can do in 3 days or in a week. It has to be more. So hopefully she will do the work. I wish her the best in healing and moving forward so that she does have a healthy, successful marriage and relationship if that's what she truly wants. I want Zach to do the work as well. And I think for me, that's what bothers me the most when I see people talking about this show. It's like I don't know what it is. Zach comes from a good family. He does. Michaela does too. Zach has a gorgeous smile. I'm like, I think he hides behind this little aloof, goofy, he doesn't know type of personality. And if he is not self-aware of what his issues are, he needs to become self-aware. Because again, there's a reason why at 27 you have never been in a relationship beyond 9 months, why you've never told someone else you love them. That's not always the other people. That's something in you as well. And his own parents said it. The perfectionism is also another symptom of trauma, anxiety, all of those things. So he's young. He's 27. He has lots of time to grow and do the work. But I think he's completely delusional to believe that he was ready for marriage, that either one of them were ready. They weren't. They just weren't. So, all right, y'all. This was a fun. Who is this? SG said, I like Team Middle Ground. Yes, Team Middle Ground. Black Diamond. Good evening, Lipstick Plez, Beauties and Beaus. Hey, how are you, Black Diamond? Dia J says, I do feel like Zach left to hurt her, but I also feel like she moved out to one up him. She did. She did. Zach Howard Girl says, at Zach's age, that's the only thing on his mind. Free sex, no responsibility. Yeah. But if you do that, you got to know what comes with it. You know, people love to act like men have they have the same free will and all the things that God gave women, men have it too. You can't have it both ways. And these are dangerous games, right? When you play with someone who, because you like their sex, but you don't really want anything else to do with them, you never know how unstable someone is until it's too late. So if you don't want her, if you're not interested, you got to let the sex go too. And Michaela, just stop it. If you say no sleeping in the bed and he says, well, I'm going to leave the apartment, let him leave. Because I don't want to watch any of y'all on Snapped or on Dateline. And I watch those shows all of the time. So I don't want to see anybody that I knew from reality TV on those shows, especially not a young, gorgeous Black couple as yourself. I don't want to watch any kind of craziness, Fatal Attraction type show about you all later on down the line. If you don't like the lady, if you don't see a future with her, and you can say that up front. If you say that up front and she still want to keep having sex with you, that's that. But if she tries to draw a boundary, which is what I feel like Michaela was doing, then respect the boundary and move on. You already know. Zach has said since like week 2 that he was saying no on decision day. That hasn't changed. So it's not going to change in 2 more weeks. It's definitely not going to change where if you all get divorced, I think for me, that's the bigger issue. You want to divorce her, but still have a relationship with her, which just means you just want to have sex with her. Didn't Chris try to do that to Paige last year too? Stop it. There's 12,000, however many other women in this world that would gladly throw their panties at you. Leave this one alone. Because I don't know how well it's going to end with you, honey. Katrina says, clearly she's at a snapping point. She is. G&B Collections, hey, she says, I agree with you. I think we only see Hurricane K and forget that Zach sometimes does things to trigger Hurricane K. Mm-hmm. He absolutely does. I'm leaving. And that's all she needs to hear. She is off. Full-on Tasmanian devil. All right, y'all. Thank you all for coming. Please hit the like button on your way out. I'm trying to get on here tomorrow night as long as work doesn't go. Work has been crazy lately, so I've been getting home later and later and just don't have the time or energy to get on here because I was supposed to do this yesterday and I was supposed to do my grab bag on Monday. Mondays have just been Mondaying, y'all. Mondays have been rolling. So I don't know. I don't know where I need to move the grab bag to, but I saw somebody ask, had I done Love and Marriage Huntsville? No, that's tomorrow. So tomorrow is going to be the grab bag, Real Housewives of Potomac, Love and Marriage Huntsville, Ready to Love, and it's something else. Family or Fiance. So I will see you all tomorrow. Like I said, I plan on doing Insecure, but that will be a pre-recorded video, and I'm actually going to start doing some other pre-recorded videos so that they're shorter and I can give you all more content for us to engage on. I do like doing the lives, but the lives do, you got to pick a time and if work and everything, it's really hard for me to go. I wanted to commit to weekends, but then when do I have time to rest? And I gotta at least have a day to myself. So Married at First Sight will be back on Saturdays. I'm trying to commit to Saturday, one Saturday video a week. And then I'll sprinkle some more throughout the week and figure out where exactly the grab bag will go. It's either going to go on Mondays or on Wednesdays. I just have to really pay attention with these patterns with work and see with commuting and all of that stuff. I don't like to post things and have to keep changing the time for y'all. But I thank you all for hanging in here with me, being supportive. We have lots of more content coming for Scared of Beautiful. A few people have been asking me about memberships. Those are coming as well. But I'm not taking anybody's money, although I'm grateful for the support. I don't want to have memberships on when I am not able yet to give you all consistently what you're looking for. So memberships are coming and some more things are coming. I'm so excited on some ideas that I have. Just got to execute and get these videos out. And I hope you all enjoy all of it. I love you all, my beauties and bows. Crystal Howard's girl says, let's do some R&B. What's R&B? Like music? Is that what you're talking about? But let me know in the comments, Crystal Howard girl, after this closes out. Let me know what you're talking about with the R&B. Thank you all to my mods. Thank you to my beauties and bows. And thank you, if you're not a subscriber yet, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button and leave me some comments after this ends to help drive up the show in the algorithm a little bit. All right. I will see y'all tomorrow with the grab bag. I love you all. I hope you all have a great Wednesday night. See you later. Bye.